Today I stand on the shores of Fort Erie, Ontario. In the background is the Niagara River, Buffalo, New York, and the Peace Bridge, the international bridge connecting Buffalo, New York, and Fort Erie, Ontario, Canada. We're standing here as part of Peace Has No Borders, a festival of resistance. It has been a benefit for war resistors who have deserted the military and fled to Canada. TruthOut.org will be bringing you coverage from both Buffalo, New York, as well as Fort Erie, Ontario. So, Daryl, you decided at some point in your military career that you needed to leave and go to Canada. What preempted that decision? What made that concrete in your head that you needed to do that?
I guess it was just throughout my tour in Iraq was the constant procedures and orders that called for us to fire upon vehicles that come through traffic stops, most of them carrying innocent people. The orders that tell us if we're fired upon the street, open fire on everybody in the street. And it was just my understanding that no matter how good of a person I am, and no matter what I try and do is good, that I'm going to kill innocent people if I follow my orders. And by going to Iraq, there's no way I'm going to be able to avoid not killing innocent people.
So we're here tonight as a fundraiser for these people who have, Americans who have said to their government, you, the government, are wrong. And I'm going to Canada, I'm going to live there, and I'm not going to participate in this illegal, immoral war. We don't know really how many there are. We do know there are about 8,000 U.S. military that have gone AWOL. We know that there are at least 24 that are here in Canada publicly. There are probably several hundred more. There were, what Bruce, I think, said there were 100,000 during Vietnam that lived in Canada.
As a Vietnam veteran, I worked against that war, and many of us did, and we hoped at the end that this country would learn something from that experience. You know, we hoped that never again would they put another generation of young men through the madness of Vietnam or the madness of an imperial war with no justification. But unfortunately, what we found is a deja vu situation.
I wanted to fight for my country and for the rights of other people, and so I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school, and I was deployed in Iraq of March of 2004, and when I went there I was kind of shocked to what I saw. I was in a regular city, kind of like Toronto, people walking around, minding their own business, driving their cars, and we were there basically disturbing the peace, pointing at guns at people who wouldn't get out of our way. It's a loaded weapon. You wouldn't do that anywhere else. Innocent people accidentally getting killed, men, women, children, seeing all that stuff happen, and it's not what I thought I would be fighting for.
Recently, the Marine Corps press secretary at the Pentagon quoted to the BBC that I was disloyal and I did not know the meaning of Semper Fidelis. Now, to me, Semper Fidelis means I'm always faithful to my Constitution and my oath. Alright? They're telling me because I'm disloyal and I'm a traitor and I'm a coward, why take up my allegations. The Pentagon just said that they would investigate all claims of allegations of wrongdoing and training in Iraq. I gave them allegations that while training and while my position of training Marines for pre-deployment, that they were told to drop an AK-47 behind the bodies of innocent civilians. Well, I think they're forgetting what Semper Fidelis means.
It's the obligation of every American to lay down their weapon and disobey the laws of the state when acts of atrocities are being committed over in Iraq and in Afghanistan. It's your duty as a soldier to lay down your weapons as per the Nuremberg trials. Because if you're just following orders, then you're no better than the Nazis were in Germany during the 40s.
We cannot allow our soldiers to be used as tools to terrorize innocent Iraqi civilians. This has got to stop. This country and its soldiers don't belong to George Bush and the corporation that he makes wealthy with the blood of our sons and daughters.
They say we're traitors, we're deserters. No, I'm a Marine, and I stand up for what I believe in, and I believe that the Constitution of the United States of America is being pushed aside as a scrap piece of paper. The Constitution says that treaties are the supreme law of the land. We have broken every international law that the United States has put into place.
I'd like to start out by saying a quote from somebody that was one of the big reasons that I came here to Canada. He said, "Canada is an independent nation." That's a quote by George Bush. And I think that we need to keep doing things like this to remind Canada that they are an independent nation from the United States.
Well, my name is Lee Zaslavsky. I'm the coordinator of the War Resisters Support Campaign in Toronto. Our main goal is to get the Canadian government to make a provision that would allow the war resistors, Iraq war resistors, to stay in Canada permanently. On the way there, we do a lot of mobilization. Of course, we do a lot of support work with the war resistors that do come to Canada, help them find their way in their new country.
I was in Canada. I worked there for about a week recently. And I went to members of the different political parties, and they said, well, this is different. This war is different because during Vietnam we welcomed draft dodgers. But we didn't take deserters. And this is what's happening in this war. Your children are deserting. And I said, think about it this way. Canada did not get involved in Iraq because they knew it was an illegal and immoral war. And our kids aren't deserting because they're cowards. They're deserting because they're people of the highest moral standards.
We've seen Canadians, Americans come together for Peace Has No Borders, and that leads the average American to think, what does the average Canadian think?
Well, I don't think there's a poll that's been done, a scientific poll that's been done on the issue. I know there was a TV station poll, the Daily Poll, that was done about a year ago, and thousands of people answered, and 2/3 of them were in support of the war resistors, should be allowed to stay. So that was very reassuring. Another piece of evidence is the petition campaign that we're doing. We've got over 30,000 signatures on the petition. Every day, new signatures are coming in from people we don't even know.
And Canadians and Americans can sign this petition?
We encourage Americans to sign it. Officially, it's addressed to the House of Commons of Canada, but we want the House of Commons to know that there's a lot of American support for this, because I think one argument that's used against the war resistors is that if we do anything for them, the United States will be mad at us. And I think we have to show them, maybe some Americans will be mad at you, but a lot of Americans are going to be very, very happy about it, and they're going to compliment Canada for doing it.
If you could address the American people who are but a few meters behind you, what would your message to them be?
I mean, we're veterans of this war. Where else can you get better truth from? We're people that's been there. We're telling what we saw. And if you truly support the troops and you respect combat veterans, you should at least give us the chance to hear what we have to say about the war, instead of just writing us off as traitors or anti-Americans or people that just want to break laws and not follow the government. It's so contradictory to support your troops and then not want to listen to what we have to say.
Eventually, I would like the U.S. to realize that they're wrong also, and to grant amnesty to people like me who chose not to fight an illegal war, and also pull out of Iraq, as soon as they can. Stop trying to pick fights with other countries like Iran or just countries that don't agree with what they say.
We can make a change. These guys have opened the gates, and all we have to do is follow. They've done the hard part. I just think that everyone in America, if you're against the war, please donate to the campaign up here so that more soldiers can come up if they choose. And I just say to everybody in America, please bring our troops home so no more families have to suffer like my family has.
Just keep up the good work here in Canada. We're working hard in America. George Bush will be held accountable. George Bush will be gone. Our troops will be coming home, but we have to work on both sides of the border. Thank you so much.
I have this photograph, this picture I have in my mind of war resistors, Vietnam-era veterans, Gulf War veterans, peace activists standing on the river with the Peace Bridge in the background. And Cindy, who obviously represents what's so sad about this war, in that 2,500 young men and women have died, and her son has, and standing there with war resistors. It was a picture that was never taken during the Vietnam War. Never taken a picture like that on the border of our country in our entire history. It was one of our goals that by drawing national and international attention to the Peace Bridge, that we would inform those people living underground that Canada exists as an alternative.
Watch and wait.